Welcome back. My name is Pamela, and today I will be talking about Svadhyaya, the fourth Niyama in our Yama and Niyama series. If you're new to this series, or if you're new to my channel, join me. Subscribe, like, comment on the videos below. So this is a series, and this is the fourth of the Niyamas. I have completed 5 videos for the yamas. And if you're new to yoga, this is a good kind of segue into learning what the yamas and niyamas are. And so if we're talking about the 8 limbs, just to give a brief overview, the 8 limbs don't start with asana. They don't start with postures, right? We're looking at yamas, niyama. We're looking at, breath work, postures, concentration. And then it's at the end of the 8 limbs that we get to samadhi or enlightenment. So just a reminder that there's so many, and that's that one thing, but there's so many other texts in yoga, the Bhagavad Gita, the Hatha Yoga, Pradipika, just so many rich texts, the Vedas, the Upanishads, that lend themselves to other types of practices other than asana. So in the Western world, we are used to asana with a tiny bit of breath. And we're getting more into meditation and mindfulness. That's part of yoga too. So we try to pull and separate a lot of these things out, but it's all yoga. And yes, I'm a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist. So I'm going to, be saying things like it's all yoga, but it's true. It's true. So this fourth niyama means self-study. How many of us have explored our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs during these past 2 years, during these COVID times? How many of us were doing that prior? And have we stepped it up, or do we plan to? Does it scare you a little bit to dive deep? The niyamas are our inner work that we do. And so Svadhyaya encourages us to really know ourselves so well that we fully embody, understand, comprehend the divine connection. That's when we are tapped into something greater than ourselves, is the best thing, is when we get the insight. It's when intuition speaks to us. It's when we get downloads from the creator that seemingly are so profoundly creative, right? That we're like, where is this coming from? Through us as the vessel, once we are open to it. And so that's what the self-study practice is about. The practice of Svadhyaya is one of freedom. How do we get free? Sonia Sanchez says, how do we free us? Well, we got to free ourselves. We got to work on freeing ourselves, right? To then do the collective aspect of freeing, of liberation, I believe. And so that's where looking at ourselves and looking at our own samskaras, habits, looking at our own, kleshas, as we say, like for instance, a binavesha for fear, really looking at that and turning it on its head, like allowing the witness to observe that not from this place of ego, but of the higher self place, if that makes sense. During these times, unfortunately, one could say that many folks don't study themselves or examine themselves or practice any introspection. It's scary to look at yourself. It's scary. This is why many people, I believe, don't go to therapy. Therapy is not skipping through the fields of flowers. It's hard work that you have to unpack, that you're looking at things that may be embedded intergenerationally, that we're looking at trauma, we're looking at abuse that has happened in our lives. And so we're really trying to unpack that. We're looking at why we repeat things over and over again, the same mistakes. And often it's because we haven't learned, often it's because we're comfortable in our chaos. And so really being able to witness and unpack these things, right? There's a lot of hate. There's lots of that. And it seems like, without getting too political here, that's what mainstream media is about. It's just really, if it bleeds, it leads. I heard that years ago when I wrote for my high school newspaper. I was actually thinking about a career in journalism, but turns out I like to just write what I want to write, not how people want me to write it. And if it bleeds, it leads. So you see the evening news start off with 5 people got shot, and it seems like if we are in tune with that negativity, like that gets more attention, and as a result, that negative energy kind of embeds itself in our bodies. And so we should choose love. We should choose love. We should choose to love. So what does that mean? In my life, that means I'm not watching the news every day. I am reading my news, and I'm being very selective about where I'm reading my news. Used to be where you would just get it. People would just report it and say, this is what it is. If I want to hear some discussion about it, I will make sure I go to an outlet of media that will have panels discussing and kind of debating, because not everybody agrees. So to really hear that debate helps to foster our knowledge and our own study and how we look at things. Really opening myself up to that kind of information and learning. That's a part of self-study. We should look at our thoughts and emotions. It's easier to do when you're not being angered, when we're not being, kind of pushed in the direction of trying to get a rise out of us, being angered. But the practice is, when you are being angered by your partner, by your children, by your friend, by a coworker, is bringing this Svadhyaya in to allow the witness to see. In the moment, self-study. Why am I angry? What's pissed me off about this, right? So being able to do that and kind of lift out of that base ego into something greater, and then pause and take a breath and then respond. It's a practice, trust me. I don't have it mastered, but I actually do that with everyone. And I know now completely the difference between when I do it and when I don't, and the response I get from people, because often we're getting mad or pissed at something that person's doing that we see in ourselves. So that's a reflection. That's the self-study. We should look at our challenges and where we're not in alignment with our purpose. Often when we take all of this negative news, information in, anger, we're not aligned with our purpose. Whatever that is, we're not doing what makes us happy, our passion. So there's lots of talk, and I just want to be clear here of, you should follow your passion and your purpose, follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell says. And a lot of times people don't know what the hell that is. But you do know what brings you joy, even if it's a little bit. I like to ride my bike. I like to go roller skating. I like to move. I like to dance. These things that we enjoyed as a child that we often have let go of, or we know that there are things that we like, and just not attaching, I have to have a business to do this thing, but pure joy, even if it's for 10 minutes. That's what we need to bring more of into our lives, right? So that we can have space for self-study. In those great spaces of joy and grace and gratitude, then you can practice the self-study and say, how do I feel in this moment? Noticing your thoughts, emotions, belief around dance, biking, hiking, whatever your thing is, writing, just noticing that. And then continuing the practice. These are all practices. So Are we being authentic in our lives? So in the Western world, we have a face. People are always asking, what do you do? What do you do? I have, I don't answer that the way that I used to. I'm a manager of this program. I do this. I'm executive director of this. I, I don't answer that in that way. What do you do? Live in my life, live my life, live in my glorious life, practice gratitude. That throws people off. You can look at my bio. You can look at my extensive bio, my extensive CV, and see what I do. A lot of people out here doing things, but my response is going to be in the being. So how do I be? I practice gratitude every day. So I'm walking in gratitude. That's my answer to that. And that's authentic to me because that's what I'm doing. Um, the self-study practice requires that we look at all of our um, experiences, perceptions, good and bad, and not be fearful of that examination. So there's something called the God self within, or Atman. And I believe that this practice of self-study allows us to open our hearts to this Atman. When we are surrounded in negativity, anger, and we're not really processing our emotions, because we're going to feel the feelings. We want to feel the things. We want to feel grief and sadness when that comes. But there's an ebb and flow to these emotions and thoughts, and that then creates space for the heart to be more open. And the love, as opposed to hate, comes in. The spaciousness with which the soul can then experience this Atman, its God self within, is what we're trying to get at. So to do that, we got to release this ego. It's hard because lots of narcissistic tendencies are running around or rampant in our own lives. Ego comes up when we start having conversations about what we do and how we did it and what school we went to. This new age that's coming, nobody's going to give a damn. Nobody's going to give a damn. You really should be educating yourself, going to places to educate yourself, to be a better person, and then subsequently to help your community and tribe do better and be better. That's it. You can get paid or not. I get paid, but that's the energy that I'm bringing. This is about really developing communion. So, and I mentioned this before, allowing the witness to see. So one of my favorite movies was Avatar. Now, I have issues with movies with, like especially when they're talking about natural law and things like that with a male protagonist. I mean, I was just like, yeah, where's the goddess energy in that? So they have the big tree and all of that other stuff. But anyway, I digress. The beauty of that was that they were like, I see you. And that's the sight beyond sight. That's sight beyond sight. I see you. I have eyes, but I have we're talking about pineal gland. We're talking about, I see you from heart and soul. And that is what I believe, if you are practicing self-study regularly, you will arrive at that. And then you'll arrive at that through the God self too. Watch how you react, act, and respond to things. So watch how you go into the store. And if you wear a mask and you see people who don't wear masks, what's coming up in you? If you don't wear a mask and you see people wearing masks, what's coming up in you? You had to ask yourself, does it matter? And is what you're doing, because we often need to be worrying about ourselves instead of what other people are doing, helping the community get better. And subsequently helping you to think about other people in that way with compassion and kindness. So this is a practice that gets us towards that true self, capital T R U E, capital S E L F, the true self, this God self, the higher self. And that's the witness that is peering and looking into these spaces when we practice Svadhyaya, self-study. So I have, I believe, a question or maybe two questions. What will you examine first in your Svadhyaya practice if you decide to use this tool to practice? What will be the first thing you examine? Something to ponder and think about. So yeah, thank you for joining me in this video. Please share your comments below if you actually do practice Svadhyaya, or if you're intending to practice Svadhyaya. Like this video, share this video, subscribe, click on the bell, and come back. Thank you so much.